Hello everyone, I am Solomon G, and today's video is a request review of Big Beautiful Women Giantess dating action. This specially themed dating simulator released in late April 2026 and is sold on itch.io as seen here, and it's also sold on Steam. Normally it costs $19.99, but I picked it up on a Steam sale for $17.99. Of note, this is publisher Rakuen Soft's first game. This review will not include spoilers, so details will be vague. Additionally, while this game is not too risque, it does include a bloody corpse, frank conversations, and topless nudity. However, we are on YouTube now, so I will not show you any of that. Read the written review on my blog for a more comprehensive analysis. Per the official description on Steam, the game involves playing as a college student, trying to find love in a city full of giant ladies. The player has 5 lovely giantesses, 4 college co-eds, and a middle-aged landlady to woo, 5 stats to manage, and 10 endings to reach. The description ends with the line, "Can you fall in love before you graduate?" However, that is misleading, as you actually need to charm at least one lady before Christmas Eve, preceding graduation, or everything will come to an abrupt end months beforehand. Ask me how I know. The way your character, Naoya Nakagawa, improves his 5 stats is by drawing and writing to enhance empathy, drinking tea to increase charisma, not sure why that works, exploring Yotunshi to improve courage, reading books to gain intelligence, and sleeping to recover hit points or HP. You can increase the stat by a lot on Saturday, or by a little each day over the following week, beginning on Sunday. The passing of each day consumes HP, but if you hit 0, there is no penalty besides the game forcing you to take time to sleep. When the player tries to raise a particular stat, the game randomly determines success. Once I spent an entire in-game week, Sunday until Friday, working on my charisma. Each daily attempt failed, so at the end I had made 0 progress. That sucked, but there was no way to improve the odds. Occasionally, the player's response to the professor's questions will also boost a stat or affinity with the ladies. Level of affinity is crucial, but is not displayed, so must be tracked manually. Fortunately, there appears to be no way to decrease your stats. Thus, if you answer one of the professor's questions wrong, it does not deduct points. Dialogue choices and actions can also add to the stats and affinity with the ladies. Sometimes, a particular level in one or more stats must be reached before an event can begin. On rare occasions, the game gives hints. For example, the game will inform you that more courage is required to watch a graphic horror movie with Yoon, although the exact number was not given. Ergo, it does not tell you that 120 points of courage are required. So, you just have to guess. Write down your stats so you do not forget, and if it does not work, then consult your notes and try again. Such blind repetition felt tedious. Instead of increasing a stat on Saturday, you can also call one of the ladies to hang out with them, or you can call your family, although people are only available on certain days. On my first playthrough, I got a bad ending, which came as a shock. My goal was to win the affections of Hifumi, the buxom blonde cheerleader. The professor mentioned how important charisma was at the beginning of the game, so whenever possible I increased charisma and eventually pushed that stat all the way to the max. Later on I met her folks. Based on the conversation, it was clear that they liked me. She also talked to my parents on the telephone. They liked her. At several points the game indicated that we were becoming closer. We planned to move in together after college. We even talked about staying together forever. Therefore, it was quite unexpected to step out on Christmas Eve for a date, and Hifumi did not come. In fact, no one came. Granted, the game did not give me any options to invite a girl out. Apparently, our date was supposed to happen based on previous actions, even though a Christmas date was never discussed. Overall, the biggest negative is that playing intuitively will likely end in failure. In my case, what was actually required to build a lasting relationship with Hifumi was to boost 3 stats, none of them were charisma, to certain levels. In addition, it was necessary to see June's 2nd event and Maya's 6th event, but that's not all. In order to see Maya's 6th event, one must have also seen Yu Yu's 4th event. The player also must possess a specific level of affinity with the bigger-than-life cheerleader. but affinity is not displayed in the user interface. Only after all those criteria were met would Hifumi appear on Christmas Eve. In order to form a relationship with Hifumi, one must also progress relationships with Jun, Maya, and Yu to unspecified extents, but not too far, because the player might wind up with one of those ladies instead of Hifumi. The game was so difficult to play that a developer promoted a fan-made guide to players. The developers planned to make their own game FAQ eventually, but why not just design the game in such a way that a player would be able to figure out how to win via gameplay and without a walkthrough? On the plus side, growth fans should absolutely adore Hifumi. Unique among all giantesses, Hifumi is constantly growing and eventually she reaches epic proportions. Far from being upset at this condition, she actually welcomes never-ending development and is especially fond of her perpetually enlarging bust. Aren't we all? Each of the other ladies also fills a particular niche, from muscular tomboy Jun, to overweight video game obsessed fan Fuko, to plump middle-aged landlord Maya, to flat-chested ramen chef with a big butt Yu. Overall, I recommend Big Beautiful Women Giantess Dating Action to Giantess fans. However, it is much more fun using the guide, and if necessary, editing a save file with Save Editor Online to tweak stats. That's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you're over 18 and would like to read editorials, interviews with artists and authors, and written reviews, then hop over to thereshegrows.net. I'll see you there.